All right. Good morning, everybody. It is Tuesday, December 1st. My goal for this month is to know the day and date every day. No, it's not. What a not interesting goal that would be at all, right? Who cares what day it is? So this month, I think we have like a couple of days to go to finish up our book, The Prayer That Changes Everything. But we decided to play catch up this month. Grab a book that maybe you haven't finished or that you've been wanting to read, whatever, dive in. So I'm going to go pull out some books today that maybe I left off a chapter or two, or who knows, didn't make it all the way through to work on for December. It's about wrapping things up. And today's topic for this book is When I Am Attacked by the Enemy. So I did not read this chapter yet. However, it's so interesting because I was having this discussion with my child yesterday, and we didn't use these exact words, but that's exactly what I was thinking about because he was so frustrated and he'd been fighting with his roommate. And the whole time I'm thinking to myself, you would just be a whole lot less stressed if you would just say, okay, right? So I'm waiting for him to get to a stopping point so I can tell him this, right? And so, of course, I make the mistake of telling him that. And I said, life would be a whole lot less stressful if you would just sometimes say, okay, oh my gosh. And he went into the blah, 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 blah. And he's like, and I did that. And I told my roommate, okay, dot, 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 dot. And so I'm sitting here thinking, I could tell him that the okay strategy that I teach everybody is not okay, dot, 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 and keep on going. It's just okay. But I shut my mouth. I said okay in my head, right? Because I needed to shut that down. I didn't need to defend or persuade him to do it a better way, right? Or the less stressful way, this and that. But after we got done thinking, I thought to myself, it's like he's always operating in attack mode. Not he's the one attacking, but he's the one in defense mode, that everything, this kind of one of the tenets in his life is that he's always in defense mode, that he seems to take things personally. And even if he tries the strategy of okay, that it's okay, now let me tell you why I did what I did, or let me tell you why I'm right, or let me tell you why it should be this way. No, that's not the strategy at all. And I left off this trail of thought last night with this topic right here, that it's got to be so tough being him or anybody who walks through this world feeling like they always have to defend themselves, that every encounter or most encounters is an attack, that disagreement or confrontation is an attack. And it's not really, that an attack is in part perception. Obviously, if somebody walks up to me and punches me in the nose, that's an attack, right? But sometimes little things, like if my husband walks through the door and instead of saying hello, he says, oh my gosh, why didn't you take the garbage out, or something like that, I could perceive that as an attack. But if I'm in a really good mood, I might make fun of him, and kind of act like he did, right? That's not an attack. So there's a perception that comes along with being attacked. But regardless, it's figuring out how we want to respond when we are feeling attacked. So even though I haven't read this chapter, I'm just guessing that when we feel attacked, that's when we need to praise, right? Give praise to the Lord. I cheated. Oh, but I do have a good question for you today. My question is what kinds of things in life, everyday life, so normal stuff, make you feel like you're getting attacked? Mm-hmm. So my son, pretty much anytime anybody opens their mouth and has something that goes against something he doesn't want to hear, see, think, or feel, he gets attacked. That's his attack, right? But I'm thinking, when is my attack? And I know that when people tell me that Not when I did something wrong, but when they tell me that why the science behind something doesn't work. So, like if I give a strategy, right? These strategies I don't pull out of my thin air ass, but it's strategies that have some science behind them. So, when people try to convince me that they don't work, that's when I feel attacked, and I just have to let them go. But it leaves me feeling such a devastation almost. It's not devastation, it's a terrible negative feeling, right? But I feel almost like kill the messenger. It's like, okay, well, it's up to you whether or not you use the strategy. Why attack it? Right? So that's one time when I feel attacked. What about you, Michelle?
I think, and this is kind of, I perceive it more as like a passive attack, if that makes sense. But if somebody asks me a question, for example, if it's something involving like my business or like my advice on what to do for a certain type of pain or something like that, and then they really don't answer or listen to my answer to the question. And so I'm like, am I just talking to thin air? Do you really want to hear what I have to say? And so it's just like a, like doesn't sit well with me.
Kind of the same thing. It's like, people can tell me I'm wrong all day long and it doesn't bother me. I can care less, right? But I think when they attack all of the reasons that a strategy doesn't work when they're just refuting science, I think that's when I feel attacked, you know?
Yeah, it's also because you've put in a lot of time and effort and energy and experience and bringing that all together to put it into and make that strategy. Um, Not everyone realizes all that goes
Ooh.
into it, behind it, you know?
And you know what else? Something else is really good. And I'm glad I didn't think of this first. This tells me it's not so prevalent right now. But in this day and age of how we're living right now, everybody's attacking everybody for just their opinions, even when my opinions don't affect anybody but me, my opinions of how I'm dealing with something in society, or my opinion of a politician, or my opinion of a group of people or anything else. And then people come back and attack that. I feel attacked momentarily, but then I remind myself that, if people want to attack someone for an opinion, hey, give it to God, right? So think about all the people that attack Jesus, right, for his opinions and his beliefs and thoughts and, worldly views. Mhm. So did you read this chapter?
I did, yeah. I just read it this morning.
Is there anything monumental that stood out?
I feel like the things that I underlined were mostly just like good reminders of, um, like one line in here, Stormy says, worshiping God positions Him as first in your life. It prepares you for the battle and it shows your love for God. And then I underlined here, when you worship God, there's a strength infused in you against which nothing can prevail. So, yeah, just good reminders that to actually lean into, pe- to God when you feel those challenges and those attacks, and He prepares you for those battles and stuff.
Mhm. Even though I didn't read the chapter, I know Stormy mentions and in here is thinking about people, or not people, but thinking about who is your enemy, so that when you feel attacked, ask who's the enemy right now. Even a what can be your enemy, who's the enemy, what's the enemy. It might be a feeling or information that's the enemy right now, something that feels like it's in conflict with you, it's working against you. But when we have a reaction to the enemy, now that's an opportunity, a risk, not opportunity because it's a negative thing. It's a risk that now I've become the enemy. As soon as I take a step to fight back and to fight harder, and this is what my son does, he perceives all conflict as an attack. and therefore that person bringing the conflict is the enemy, but then he attacks back and he becomes the enemy, you know. And that's a good time to give it to God, instead of becoming the other enemy. Just give it to God. It really
That's a good
hurt,
point, Linda.
you know.
Yeah, that reminded me of another part that stuck out to me in the chapter where um, Stormy's talking about how if you're distracted and your attention isn't put on God, then that's like those moments are opportunities that the enemy takes to seed himself in your life in little ways, where you don't even realize it and you can't even recognize it because your attention isn't turned to that. And it talks about too is like her experience in the past when she was part of that like cult or something she was in when she was younger, and how they said that like evil didn't exist, it was only in your mind. And so then she wasn't prepared for or looking for the enemy because she was brainwashed into thinking that evil didn't exist, right? And so she couldn't protect herself from the enemy because didn't have an awareness of him. So I thought that was a really important thing to just simply recognize his existence so that we can identify the areas that he's trying to work in our life. And those are the moments that we can turn and worship God.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Um, Yesterday, I was reading one of the chapters in this book that I needed to make up. I don't remember which one it was, but it was talking about, well, you know what? It had to do with temptation. It might have been yesterday's chapter, in that when we endure temptation, enduring temptation doesn't mean just waiting it out. It means actively doing something to endure it, like giving it to God and praying to God. And that if we set our sights on something else, like the praise and worship or whatever, attacking temptation with praise and gratitude and things like that, that it helps us to get through it, and so that it takes that power away. And I feel the same way about, with things about attacking the enemy. Brad struggles with anxiety, and that when it gets heightened, he can become very irritable in a moment's notice. He go from 0 to 60 and he just attacks anything, verbally or, non-verbally in his environment. And I used to take that very personally. And, finally I realized, by taking that personally, I'm interfering, and I'm destroying his process. I'm interfering with his ability to get better or to cope or to figure out how to cope. That if as soon as he gets anxious and he lashes out at me, I in turn lash back out at him, now I've distracted him from what's happening. He knows his anxiety. He feels it. He suffers with it every single day, but he'll never be able to find a different way to deal with it if when he attacks me, I attack back. So when I practiced the concept of surrender, that was so hard that 1 month, and I gave that up quick, but it was very enlightening because I really had to sit with my emotions and let things play out. And it helped him so much. And then we started transitioning to all these prayer books, and that helped even more because it gave me something to do instead of attacking back. And that was the perfect opportunity, is when he gets going, I step out of his way, I pray, and you know what? His anxiety attacks have just been less and less and less and far and few between in these last several months. So it's good.
That's so amazing.
I know. It is awesome to see the difference in our relationship and the difference just in him. I mean, I know I have differences too, but just seeing differences in him as a person over these last several months, and just watching him manage the stress of the house, and all of that. And normally that would just send him through an angered tizzy every single day until it was fixed. And he's just kind of, well, whatever. So it's pretty impressive. It's pretty darn impressive.
That's so cool. It's
Everything.
amazing when you get to see that like physical representation of those changes in mindset and just peace. That's really, really cool.
There it is. All right. Well, let's say a little prayer. All right, dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for waking me up and letting me see another day. You know, I love waking up in the morning. I used to remember a time when I didn't want to wake up in the morning. I wanted to sleep as long as I possibly could. But you know what? That misses the beauty of the day. I miss interactions with people. I miss my exercise. I miss my reading. I miss everything. There's so much life that happens instead of sleeping my day away. So I'm so happy, and just praise you, God, for letting me see another day, getting me, giving me things in life to help me want to get out of bed and to engage and interact with people and all of the amazing things that, this world really does have to offer my life. So I'm so thankful for that. Thank you for the friends and the family that I have. And thank you for just giving me people in my life to spend the holidays with and to communicate with. And even sometimes when I get so mad and frustrated, I'm thankful that I have people in my life who I actually can fight with, because the alternative is to have nobody, and I don't want that at all. Right? So thanks for all the people, whether good or bad, or whether they bring loving energy or angry energy, at least they're still in my life, and I'm thankful for that. I want to pray for my children today, especially my younger son who fights with the world, helping him find some peace and maybe come to that realization that, just let it go. I want to pray for my other two kids as they just, they just go with the flow. Every struggle and challenge, it frustrates them, and then they figure out, okay, I'm done with that, moving on. And that, by that nature, they're just so easygoing, and I just look up to them so much and take lessons from them. I just want to pray that you just bring some happiness to them and some stress-free days, and allowing them to enjoy the life that they have before it passes them by. All right, Michelle.
Good morning, Lord. I want to start, as I always do, by thanking you for another day that I get to be alive and breathing and joining together in community with you. I also want to thank you for this beautiful setting that I'm in, and just some time to slow down and spend time with Sean and with Chief and adventure around and in our own backyard, and just revel in the beauty that you have created around us, Lord. I just thank you for this opportunity and these moments, and a slow down process before we enter into the continued Christmas season, that I ask that you also allow us to have continued health in for ourselves and for our families and loved ones, that we can peacefully and joyfully celebrate together the gift that you gave us of your son, God. So that is amazing, and I am so, so grateful for that gift. Allow me to see that and have that gratitude each and every day, because it is truly spectacular. I want to offer up prayers and just ask that your guiding and comforting hand is upon a couple friends and family members who are pregnant right now, and just allow them to have peace and health and joy throughout this process, that they're bringing amazing little human beings that you have blessed them with into the world. So I know things are so uncertain during this time in our world, but you bring that peace and that certainty into our lives. So I ask that you bring that upon them, God. Caitlin, do you have anything to add?
Sure. Good morning, Lord. Thank you for this morning, for joining these girls. It really brings joy and a sense of calmness to my day. So thank you for that. And I want to pray today for good health, for patience, as always. During this time, it is always tough for me. So I'm going to be leaning in harder than ever before. And also I want to pray for reunification with some family, and just I want to pray for happiness and kindness, and just this time of year, giving back to those in need. And I just want to pray this morning, Lord, that you will Guide me and steer me in the direction that you have planned. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
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 All right. Very good. Thank you, ladies, so much. So find a good book for the rest of the month, and we'll meet you back here tomorrow at 9 a.m. Eastern. And we're out.